The Ballad of Buster Scruggs is a Western film as directed by the Coen brothers and stars Tim Blake Nelson, James Franco, Liam Neeson, Zoe Kazan, and Brendan Gleeson. And this film is told as an anthology with 6 separate stories. Now, to get it out of the way, I enjoy this film, and while this film goes in the right direction after the Coens' previous mixed bag of a film, I still feel like this film mostly gets there, but it's far from being a Coen brothers masterpiece. Before I continue, for those who don't know, this was originally going to be a TV miniseries for Netflix, and the 6 stories in this film were going to be individual episodes, but before it was about to be released, it was reworked into a feature film, and I don't know how to feel about that. On the one hand, it's a shame that we're not going to see this as a TV series, but on the other hand, I'm kind of glad we got it as a feature film, because even though I enjoyed all 6 stories, some of them wouldn't have worked as TV episodes. In fact, some of these stories only go for 20 minutes, and if they had gone any further, it would have stretched it out very thin. Because with the first 3 stories at least, I feel like those were as long as they needed to be. So getting back to my point, I feel like turning this into a feature film was the right move. Although a problem that arises from this is it ruins the narrative of some stories, and I will discuss those flaws in a little bit. Now, this film wasn't all bad. This is easily a gorgeous film, and the full scope of it is on display here. The cinematography makes everything look beautiful. The use of colors, the framing, everything works wonderfully here. And all the performances from all the actors were really good as well. Now, there were quite a number of flaws that did stick out to me. One thing that definitely stuck out to me that might bother a few people is the complete tone shift in every single story. The film jumps from silly and ridiculous to dark and depressing, especially in the first story, which is absolutely hilarious and quintessential Coen brothers humor. But then you get to the third story, which is totally dark. For me, I was able to look past it, but this might bother a few people. But the way I saw it, this film takes all of the elements of every Coen brothers film. It has their surreal humor, it has the intense grit you would find in their thrillers, and it has the stories that are definitely compelling. And now I'm going to get into the meat of this movie, and that is the stories. Now, I'm not going to make these in-depth. I'm only going to say which ones were my favorite and which ones weren't as good. Like I said at the start, I enjoyed all of these stories. It's just only a few of them have flaws that kind of detracted from it. For me personally, at least. I'm just gonna put it out there. The first and fourth stories are easily my favorite. The first story, I was cracking up at every joke. This is gonna sound corny, but this first story was absolutely bonkers and I loved it. And then we get into the second story, which was okay for the most part, but it's the shortest out of all of them, barely going 10 minutes. And what annoyed me especially was the ending was anticlimactic. And I know this story left a lot of hidden meanings, and I definitely went back and rewatched it so I could see what I missed. But for the average viewer, this ending might frustrate a few people. The third story, while not the most exciting, I personally liked because of its tragedy it told. The fourth story, like I said, is one of my favorites of the entire film. The whole story focuses on this one guy mining for gold, and this one I was definitely the most invested in. The fifth story, I was probably the least invested in. The characters in this story were fine, but I just didn't care. And then the sixth story is about 5 strangers talking in a stagecoach. And yeah, the Coen brothers' writing is fine here, but to be honest, The Hateful Eight did this setup a lot better. Overall, I would still recommend it. If you're a big fan of the Coen brothers, this is a definite must-watch. And while I loved the first and fourth stories, and I thought the rest were a bit okay, my opinion might differ from yours, because I have seen other reviews say that the stories I thought were okay were actually really good. And that's fine. Everybody will have a favorite story. And while there are a number of flaws, make no mistake, this is still a well-made film. And this has Coen brothers all over it. From the characters, to the writing, to the cinematography. This is still very much a film you would expect from them. But for what I got out of this film, I still very much enjoyed it. And I'm going to give The Ballad of Buster Scruggs an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5. Thank you for watching.